Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to Season 3 of the Truer Business Podcast with Kara Ellery
and Lauren Van Mullum. This season, we're exploring how to set yourself up for ease instead of hustling and slinging pressure tactics on every single platform.
So if you are ready to stop chasing pie-in-the-sky goals and pursue gentle growth, this season is for you.
When you sit down with Tad Hargrave, it's usually to talk about your own business, especially questions about niche. So I count myself lucky when I get to sit across from Tad Hargrave and talk about his business, because it feels like sitting at the chef's counter and you get to see how your favorite dishes are actually made. So let me do a proper introduction. Tad Hargrave is a hippie who developed a knack for marketing and then learned to be a hippie again. Since 2001, he has been helping people create profitable businesses that are ethically grown while restoring the beauty of the marketplace, weaving together strands of ethical marketing, Waldorf School education, local culture making, anti-globalization activism, community building, and supporting local economies. You can find him at marketingforhippies.com, and we'll put that in the show notes. But I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the burning question, usually, on a podcast, like we've got a series of questions. I have one big one. And I've seen your business grow just over the time we've known each other, which is, a fraction of the time that you've been doing this. But I've seen it change and grow as you've been trying different things, trying different models. And you were doing group programs. You were doing really intimate small group containers where you were really digging into people's businesses and messaging and niching. And you've been producing all of this incredible content for so long, teaching people how to do the fundamentals. But I'm curious, as your business has evolved into this membership that I am a part of and love, coolest people ever in this membership, where have you figured out how to make things easier for yourself? That is our theme for this season, is figuring out how to make things a little easier for ourselves as business owners. And your business model is so complex. I'm like, where do you find ease?
There's some dangerous presuppositions in those questions that I have done so. But this was always where I ranked myself lowest in my business model. I talk about these 4 S's. Is your business model safe for people to approach and check out? Is it sustainable for you? Is it satisfying for you? And is it simple? And simple to me was always my lowest score. And so part of it, I think it's good for us to realize this is getting complicated, meaning you can't keep up. Stuff is slipping through the cracks a lot. You're not getting to the bottom of your inbox every day. You're having meetings all the time, that kind of stuff.
It's me.
And it's important because so much of strategy, and I really, this is still probably my weakest point. A lot of strategy is based on what you're willing to say no to. 90% of strategy is what are you going to set down and no longer do. There's a company, a health product company called Symbiotica, and they have also this coffee creamer, which I really like. It's a nootropic coffee creamer. And I got an email saying they're discontinuing it. And personally, I was sad because I like it. Professionally, I thought they're nailing it. They're letting something go. They probably make money on it. But the opportunity cost of spending the time to keep that product line going that probably isn't actually their most profitable one. And if they took that time and money and spent it on their core profit, their core product line, they do better. So they're focusing. It's just important. Now, a few things that have come to me that have made things easier. One, I realized that this was a few years ago that my work was about the fundamentals. Something clicked. I thought, okay, I don't actually know a lot about the specific tactics and I don't care to know. I'd rather refer out at that point. But I began to see that if people don't have these fundamentals in place, then those tactics don't work. I kept seeing the stories. People, they signed up for some other coach's program. And the feeling that I came to, the sense of it, was that it wasn't that the programs weren't good, the other coaches' programs. It wasn't that. It was that they didn't have a niche. They didn't have a point of view. So they were showing up to this program, just not, foundation's not built. So that was one shift. The second was the tech stack. That we began to realize that our tech was way too complicated. We had too many things, talking to each other, and then one would update and the other one didn't update, and then they didn't talk to each other, and now people can't pay, or, weird things are happening. So really dramatically simplifying. So we moved everything over to Simplero, so the clue's in the name there. So our website, our email list, everything's on this one platform, at least in an attempt to make it easier. We're shifting the membership. We're going to at least try doing just 2 intakes a year instead of constant, to streamline that process. And then the courses, turning them into DIY courses so people can go through them at their own pace whenever they want to. And that I'm not as needed to be on the calls, which was also on the satisfying part of the business model really losing me, because I just thought, man, anybody could be leading these calls. Because so much of the calls, 80% of the calls was me saying, great, here's an exercise. Now go into a Zoom room, talk about it. Great. How was that? Debriefing it. That doesn't need to be me. So we've simplified in that way. And I think there's still a lot more to do, frankly, on my end. But we have made things much simpler. And I think this is the natural growth of a business. You kind of Frankenstein it at the beginning. You don't know what you're doing. So you just grab a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then at a certain point, we've got a pile and it's a bit of a mess. And we got to look at it and say, okay, what do we keep and what do we throw away?
That's exactly the stage of business I'm at right now. It took me 18 years to get there. I'm a little slow.
No, but I think this is just how it is. I think because you don't know you're Frankensteining it while you're doing it. I started off with a teleconference line. It was just a phone line. That was all I had.
How did that work? I mean, I don't know the evolution of your business as well as Lauren has, but I'm so curious as to you have had these different iterations. When you first came on the scene teaching marketing, who were your people? Where were you finding them?
In Edmonton, I just reached out to people I knew. That was it. And then my first workshops I did one in Nova Scotia, and I got hosted. Somebody who had a yoga studio hosted me, and they filled all the workshops. Then I was a part of something called the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, and a fellow, Chris Lowry in Toronto, he was the head of Green Enterprise Toronto, and he hosted me at the Center for Social Innovation in Toronto, and they basically filled it. And I did a bunch of intros there, and then some of the people were keen on my work, and they spread the word. So it became very much a word of mouth thing, and I hustled on hubs. At my workshops, I'd pass out index cards, little feedback forms. And one of the questions was, who should I talk to in town? Who are the hubs? And they give me names, and I would follow up. I just spent the time reaching out to people. And when I'd go to a town, I had a lot of individual emails. Hey, everybody, I'm coming. Hey, Lois, I'm coming back to Calgary. Can you spread the word? And so there was a lot of that in the beginning. And I didn't really have any hubs, although for a while I did a workshop called Marketing 101 for Holistic Practitioners, which really simplified it. I just reached out to all the holistic clinics, and they would also help spread the word. So it's been a little bit different over time. And now, though I'm probably going to, at a different level, at a higher level, I'm going to start doing the hubs thing more intensely. But I've kind of become a bit of a hub. I've built my own email list. So when I tour, I haven't felt the need to push on the local hubs and personally spend that time as much anymore.
That's great. I did want to mention, so I work with a lot of very new entrepreneurs because they're just putting up their website. And a lot of them, they're putting up their website because they think online is going to be this mecca of growing their businesses. And sometimes I have to couch a little bit because I don't want to hear it, but I do try to share, I do think that boots on the ground approach or direct one-on-one marketing for very small businesses just starting, coaches, consultants, that's the step everyone kind of wants to skip sometimes. But I think that model still works.
Yeah, that personal outreach. I mean, if you want to fill a retreat and it's not happening, you just sit down and send a bunch of individual messages to people. Here's what I would suggest is you sit down and you make a list of people who, when you think about them, let's say being at the retreat, you get really excited. It's a genuine delight. And you also think, I could really help these people. This would actually be really good for them. So you make that list, and then when you reach out, you just tell them that's why. It's like, hey, I've got this retreat coming up, and I was making a list of people who I thought might get something out of it, who I'd love to have there. And when I saw your name, I got so excited. And I don't know if this is a fit for you. I don't know if it's the right thing or the timing's good or any of that. But here's the link. I mean, if you have any questions, let me know. No pressure at all. Something like that. You send out a bunch of those messages, because what happens is when we send out the group emails, they get deleted. I mean, people love us and they support us, but they just can't keep up on every email, so they don't read it. But when it's a personal email, they're going to read it, or way more likely to pay attention to it and track what's in it.
Yeah, if it's a personal email, I will do whatever I can to support that person because they took the time to send me a personal email. And there's a relationship already established. I'm like, I am here for that. Whatever it is, if I have the capacity and ability to support it, I'm there.
We're seeing the toxic mimic of that, which is all the AI pseudo-personal emails. You may have seen it, or you did, I think, Lauren, in my last email that,
yes.
that somebody sent me an email, and Carrie, you didn't maybe see this, but it was a very personalized email. Tad, love your work, love what you're doing, love how long you've been doing it. But something about it was a little too accurate, too much like they just read my website. And then I wrote back and I said, did AI play any role in the writing of this email? And the response was, lol, all of it, ha ha ha. Yeah, some people don't like that. What do you think? I replied and I said, did AI play any role in you writing a reply? No, this was totally me. And then I just left it. But it's just appalling, because it seems personal. But I think you're really playing with fire on that because you can get caught.
Yes, easily.
Easily, yeah. And then you lose trust entirely with people. That's a bad first impression. Or you just kind of become invisible. I mean, at that point, I just delete it. I'll just, if I see something come in that same email chain from that person, it's just ignored. Unless there's some apology, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I still won't use a merge tag just to say hi first name because I'm like, this is clearly you're on my email list. I'm sending a mass email. I won't even do that. I just do like a hey there.
Yeah, I usually just say greetings when I do the emails. But it also poisons the well for your industry, for the whole world now. I mean, what a wild thing to say that I couldn't have said a year ago is when I get an email, I'm not sure it's from a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're at the beginning of that. We're at the nascency of that. And better believe somebody's going to figure out some algorithm. It's like, oh, we figured out how to make first emails that nobody will ever guess are AI, And, I'm sure we're just at the beginning. This is kindergarten in terms of the sophistication it'll get to. It's like I've seen these ads too where there's an app for dating for guys who typically not that great at their banter. And so it's an app that will tell guys, it'll read the conversation and give them the next line in the conversation on Tinder.
What happens when they go to actually talk to this person in real life?
Bingo. That's where I was going, right? Because she's talking to this guy. It's like, oh my God, his banter is fire. He's so funny. He's like, oh my God, it's so attractive the way he's talking. I love this. Yeah. And then they meet and the guy can't put two words together. This happens with the marketing too. It's like, great, you can talk a good game, but then can you deliver on what you're saying? Or are people, it's the catfishing thing. Here's a 10-year-old photo of me and you show up at the date and it's like, oh, that was a really old photo. It's also to me the concern with the AI, with the copywriting, because then, oh, great. So the AI does a great job. It writes this copy, but can you back up what it just said?
Exactly. I mean, it'll make things up. And business owners that I've worked with on their AI copy, there will be something in there that sounds like a really intriguing part of their program. And they're like, oh, we're not doing that.
People are going to get themselves in real trouble because it can make them sound more competent than they maybe are, or that they're doing something that they're not. It's just not the way I'm going myself.
One of the interesting premises of your work is the more beautiful marketplace. What I've seen over the years is how by setting a certain level of standard of care, of manners, really, you are creating this culture around here's how you reach out to people. Here's how you treat people if they're prospective clients. Here's how you treat people if they're prospective hubs. This is the proper way of doing things. And I was raised by a family that had come from catering and culinary. Like chef and a caterer are my great grandparents. And it was embedded like host skills. Now, I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I have a respect for the art and I know what is involved. And I see you bringing these host skills and teaching other people how to do it. And that's just part of your business that I absolutely love. And I'm fascinated by, even though like it's not the USP, it's not your value proposition, but it's how you do the work that I think is so compelling.
Thank you. I would tweak it a little bit. It's the host-guest relationship. That's the key thing. I mean, in life, that's the deep cultural valence of a lot of this, is that all of our ancestors understood the nature of that relationship between the host and the guest and how sacred it was. Yeah, somebody shows up at your home. There's that poem that I read from time to time at my workshops called Red Brocade by Naomi, Shihab. And it says, the Arabs used to say that when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he's coming from, where he's going. That way he'll have strength enough to answer. Or by then you'll be such good friends that you don't care. Take my red brocade pillow. My child will bring water to your horse. No, I was not busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That's the armor that everyone put on to pretend they had a purpose in this world. I will snip fresh mint into your tea. So this understanding is very old, that when a stranger appears at your door, you take care of them, you feed them first, you understand what it means to be a host. I mean, in Scotland, George McPherson, a storyteller who I knew, he talked about how the knife that you know as the skiandu, which goes in the sock when somebody's wearing a kilt, was originally under the left armpit, because the kilt would be sort of, the philomore would be thrown over the left shoulder, leaving that exposed. And it's called the scian chliach, the underarm knife, or the knife of peace and hospitality. And so that knife was really only used if you had a guest and you had a cut of meat. You would give them the knife and you would say, you take the best portion for yourself. Or you wouldn't even say it, you just hand them the knife, and they would be expected to take the best cut with the most fat, the best part. And if they didn't, it was an enormous offense. You as the guest would always take the best piece for yourself. And so, which makes me think of this little story that a rabbi, and he's having a cake with a friend, and the rabbi cuts the cake, and clearly one of the pieces is bigger than the other, clearly much larger. And the rabbi takes that piece for himself. And his friends are like, oh, look at you, some rabbi you are. You cut the cake and then you take the bigger piece for yourself. And the rabbi says, oh, Mr. Big Man, and if it were you, which piece would you have taken? If it were me and I cut, I would have taken the smaller piece. That's the piece you got. Why are you kvetching? So this idea, there's rules to being a good host, yeah, but there's also rules to being a good guest. And I'll ask this in workshops. I'll say, raise your hand if you've ever had a terrible house guest. Somebody stayed and it was a nightmare. And why? What was it? And have you had a really good guest? And what made them such a good guest that you want to invite them back? That's the thing. How can you be such a good host that people want to come back? How do you be such a good guest that they would invite you back? That's the whole game. It's good to remember that we are guests in the life of our clients. I mean, it's a strange mystery that we sort of end up playing both roles. We host them in our business. So we play host. But in their life, we're a guest. And it's good to remember that, especially if they're not a client yet. You are a complete fucking guest. But we walk around like a tourist. We walk around so entitled in the lives of others. And rather than that, we say that all the courtesies come. Those old courtesies and etiquettes, they seem antique and old-fashioned and not for our times. But I'm saying they are profoundly important for our times, because if you go to somebody's home as a guest, and you really assume the position of being a guest, it does something to the host. It brings out the best in the host. It ennobles the host. It affirms them and their humanity so deeply. And if we approach somebody as if they are a machine, which is, Lauren, you've seen this in some of my newsletters, the Unpacking Unethical Marketing, that so much of it is the way this form of manipulative marketing looks is as if we're a machine, we're a computer, and you punch in a certain code and you get a response from people. Now that there's a truth to that. I mean, they've got our behavior dialed, So it's not saying it doesn't work short term, because it does. But long term, what happens when you treat somebody like a computer, a machine, is they start to act like that. They start to feel like that. It's not becoming for a human being to treat a human being as a resource to be extracted, because it does something to both sides. It does something to you as the one extracting and them as the one being extracted from. It robs both sides of their humanity, and the host-guest understanding returns humanity.
When you start treating people as things, I always have flashbacks to Terry Pratchett. There's this one Terry Pratchett novel in his Discworld series, and it's when the witches fight the vampires. And what makes the vampires so bad is that they treat people as things to be exploited. If you haven't read your Terry Pratchett, everybody listening, please do so. One of the best business mentors I've ever had. So bringing this back to the idea of ease, and I eventually want to wind up back at fundamentals. We're taking the scenic route. I want to talk about your puttering sessions because they inspired me to do my craft and copy hour, which has recently gone through some metamorphoses and finally is working in the way I had envisioned. But the puttering sessions, I love the origin story. And then I want to know how that's evolved.
Right. So the puttering sessions, this came from, for years, I did almost no coaching. I just didn't do any one-on-one because I assumed that I had to be, it was Skype at the time, but I had to be sitting there in a video Skype call, taking notes, sending them a follow-up email. And I hated the whole thing. I'm already on the computer so much. And so to be on the computer more, sitting there, looking at a screen, and I'm fidgety, just sitting, doing one thing. I got other things I could be doing. So I resented it. And I ended up charging $300 an hour because I thought at that price, I no longer resent the proposition. But I never promoted it. People would have to ask. And I did maybe a couple of those over the years. And then I had this realization where I was puttering around my home while I was talking with a friend. And I thought, oh, I could coach while doing this, doing the dishes, the laundry. And I wonder, I wasn't sure. I thought it might be too loud. I didn't know if I'm doing dishes, if it's just so distracting and annoying. And so there was that. And will I be too distracted by what I'm doing? I didn't know if it was a good idea. Yeah, so I just offered 10 of them. I said, I'm doing 10 for $100 just to see. And they sold out immediately, and they were great. They went really well, and I got to do a lot of tidying I'd been putting off. I just kept doing it over the years, and it's become, a core part of my business. I love it. I mean, genuinely, that's when I do my dishes. That's when I take out the garbages and even go for a walk or sweep up my place. So, and then colleagues of mine, they started doing things like Bradley Morris did the putting sessions for a while where he was just working on his putting game. One of my colleagues, Melanie, she was doing nutritional coaching, but she was so busy with the coaching, she wasn't in the kitchen anymore. And so she started doing these discount coaching sessions while she was in the kitchen so she could be cooking and preparing food while she was doing it. Or another one, Julie Wolk, she was doing the redwood walks and on and on. I've heard of people thinking about doing it in the garden. Come to my garden and we'll garden together while we coach you. Or I'll go over to your home and help you declutter while we declutter your life. We're going to spend a whole day. We're going to declutter our room in your house plus declutter your life while we're at it. And there's all sorts of interesting creative ideas. It's funny, this may be my next Saturday's email, is encouraging everyone, just come up with an idea like this that would be fun for you. Email your list and let me know what happens. Because, my physical environment is genuinely way clearer and cleaner than it would be otherwise. I would put it off. My place would get cluttered. And I think that was also what drove me around the puttering sessions is I noticed it when my physical space was clear and clean. I was so much more effective and on my game. And when it wasn't, I wasn't. So, and then, recently what's been happening is they were selling out for a while, but I don't know. Just the response hasn't been as high. It could be that my email list is just everyone who's going to have one has had one now and have to wait for a while for the well to refill. But I was doing $200 for the puttering sessions. Price had gone up over the years. So I just dropped it to $100 and I was like, I'd rather do them than not. And if, money's tight. And I think I'll probably extend that to the end of August and then probably put the price back up. And, this is interesting because I remember talking with that woman and she said she wanted more one-on-one coaching. I said, well, okay, what do you charge? $500 an hour. I was like, okay. And I said, how many of those have you done? And then she got sheepish and said, none, actually. Nobody's ever paid that. I said, do you like doing one-on-one coaching? And I was genuinely curious because some people don't. Some people, it's like, no, I'd rather do group stuff. But I love it. It's my favorite thing. I said, then make it $50 an hour. I mean, if this is what brings you alive, figure out a price. I mean, not, maybe not 50, but whatever it is, that's going to get you doing it a lot. Because if that's fulfilling for you, you'll make more money doing it that way, and you'll have a fulfilling life rather than, I don't know, you got to stand on some principle of what you're worth and some misguided notion around that and never coach anybody, and make no money. Yeah.
This is very timely. You might be a little bit psychic because I've been just tweaking, just feeling around for things that are not as solid as they should be. And I had put up the prices for my Loom reviews at the end of last year because I'm like, I've got a baby now. Like my time is incredibly limited, which is very true. So the price of anything that takes my time is going to have to go up. And I love doing Loom reviews. And at the higher price point, the bookings had shot way down. So right now I'm offering a spring discount that puts it just $10 above what it used to be. And it's much lower than the price that I had set it. And I think that might end up being perhaps a permanent price point as I'm trying to feel out what the market is now for that kind of support. But I love doing them. And I mean, if I could, I would do my entire business for free because I love it that much. But I'm a very bad business owner. Like I really honestly would do that, and I cannot.
I think those are both those sort of tenets. One being like there's something that you feel like you need to do, maybe the coaching, but you like if I do it while I'm puttering around the house, that makes it doable. Like that's a beautiful example of like building ease into your business. Like how do I actually make something I might not love to do as much, make it something that I do love to do? And then also, if I do love to do something, why am I pricing myself out of the market?
Exactly. If it's something you really enjoy, if it is a kind of art for you to do, if it's so fulfilling and you would sort of do it anyways, well, then charge an amount that is sustainable for you, that still works, that you're not going to resent. That's the key thing. And then do it as much as you want. And over time, then you may get so packed with that and be busy with other things, you realize, oh, now I got to raise the price. And then that's okay. Then, when you start resenting the price, because like I could make way more money doing other things, or this for whatever reason isn't as satisfying, then great. And the other thing I was going to say is with the puttering sessions, it's also evolved into the membership. I do these trail talks. So it's most Friday mornings now, 8 a.m. I'll just go for a walk on a trail and I have my phone in my pocket. It's on Zoom. And people type their questions in the chat. I take it out. I read a question, throw it back in my pocket, and coach people in a group setting. So it's a group puttering session. And it's a way that people can still get access to me, but I'm not trapped on the screen, which for me was the lifestyle consideration. So for me, that's it. Like I want less time on the screen. And some people don't mind. Like they're not maybe getting as many emails as I get. And so they don't mind that extra time. Great. Now, Kara, I'm curious also for you, because I saw you had a reaction when we were talking about the host and guest thing. Was there anything that had come up for you around that?
No, I just think that is such a beautiful, philosophy to bring into online business. And I feel very, increasingly allergic to this idea that because I have so many clients, I'm just going to put up a website, I'm going to build this email list, I'm just going to bombard them with emails, or I'm going to fill my client books by doing these posts on Instagram. I don't think any of it, for most people, really does work because they're not actually relying on their humanity and their ability to connect with other people and build for the type of work that they're doing. I mean, a lot of my clients, like Lauren's, they're coaches, they're one-on-one service providers. So that building that connection so that someone wants to actually give them money to work with them, not just buy some product that, isn't going to involve them. I do think it's building that relationship, and that host and guest piece is a beautiful way to sort of think about it.
Everybody's talking about, everybody I'm listening to, this is already very niche down. Everybody I'm listening to right now is talking about the trust economy and the trust recession and how building trust is so critical for businesses right now because our trust in everything. I mean, AI, politics, the leaders that should be protecting us. Like our trust in everything from the food we eat to the water we're drinking is eroded. And if we are building trust in this environment, we have to show up as humans in ways that are verifiably human. So even just writing an email anymore, if you've got an AI tell in there, nobody's going to listen to you. And there are so many AI tells. Like sometimes I find myself slipping in an M dash and I question it now. Like, is somebody going to suspect?
I used to use M dashes all the time and now I can't.
Killed it.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure my people trust that I am not sending them something from a bot.
Just on that, check this out. Okay. So the loss of trust, what does that signify? It signifies something's already happened. And what is that thing? It's betrayal. Yeah. It's signifying there probably at one point was trust. Then something happened, a betrayal. And now there isn't trust anymore. So let's just hold that as the kind of loose framework of the thing, right? So there's a couple thoughts on this. One, here's the one that most people don't see coming, that's coming. That will be the biggest betrayal. And it's going to be the solutions that they provide us for this broken trust. For example, they say we can't, we don't know who's human online. So now we're going to have to verify that you're human. So now this is the biometrics, isn't it? This is the global digital IDs. This is which plays very much into all the people you don't trust now. The technocrats, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos, the, Bill Gates, all these people who, we shouldn't trust farther than we can throw them. They'll be the ones, or people like them, proposing solutions which further enrich them, which a lot of people will just go for because it sounds good. It seems like a solution to the problems, which will themselves be deeper betrayals and cause deeper problems. So I just stay woke, everybody. Stay alert.
I've been getting spam from a non-legit company that says, oh, you are meta verified. Click this link because you've been accepted as like verified on social media. And I almost fell for it because it looked legit. And then I saw the email address was not anything associated with Meta or Facebook or Instagram. But yeah, like verifying that you're human being a scam in itself. It's next level.
Yeah, it's a lot of the solutions. I mean, these are the solutions to the environmental problems is we need to put a smart meter on everything. We need to measure everything. But it's not that so much, I don't think that these corporate, big tech companies, they care. They really care so much. This is what's driving them, their insane altruism. Or is it that then they can collect data, which they can then use to market to us, to manipulate us, or to control us and just, we're going to turn your water off now. And these are the solutions that will be offered to the lack of trust about everything. So it's just worth staying alert to what's being proposed. But here's the other thing, is in word of mouth. So word of mouth is a result of, you do a good job, right? So if you do a good job in your business, you get like a little bit of word of mouth. If you do a great job, you get more word of mouth. If you fuck it up, you get way more word of mouth. Then the word of mouth really skyrockets. I mean, don't we love to bitch and complain? I mean, you have a bad experience. And now you tell everybody and you post on social media and we feel just self-righteous doing it. Love to give a bad review if they really deserve it. I mean, how many times have I gone to give a 5-star review and how many times have I given a 1-star review? Probably a lot more 1-star reviews, which is more satisfying. But if you fuck it up and then you fix it, that word of mouth goes even higher than the bad word of mouth, right? So the rupture and repair thing of human relationships, this is very true in business. You're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. We're going to have ethical slips. We're going to have functional slips in our business. We're not going to deliver in the way that we hoped we would. We're just going to make mistakes. And that's okay, because there is an opportunity in that, which if as a human being, you say, look, I'm going to make this right. I'm going to fix this. That's when people really talk. That's when people really go the extra mile to tell all their friends about you, because they can't believe, oh my God, they made good on what they said they were going to do.
I love that there is a path to redemption, even if you mess up. And I don't think anybody listening, none of us do a disservice to our clients, to our friends, to anybody in our lives on purpose. But it happens.
Yeah, it does.
I do want to talk about the business fundamentals for our last bit of time together, because not only is it foundational to what you teach, it is foundational to what everybody in business needs to be doing. And I think there's this awareness gap between what people think it takes to start a business when they're very new and what actually is required. I go through so many drafts from business coaches, and they're promising programs that will teach you how to make a business work. And I'm looking at these sales pages for these programs, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, but are you doing market research? Like, are you doing this like really significant piece of business fundamentals without which the car will not go? And it's not there, which is terrifying to me.
Did you bring this up with them?
I do. Gently.
Great.
Very gently.
Good. Okay. I was hoping the answer would be yes. Yeah. It doesn't mean what they're doing is bad, but it gives them a chance to hone their niche. It gives them a chance to clarify what they're promising and what they aren't. Like, hey, in this program, we don't cover things like market research. We don't cover things like niching. Like, we assume you're walking in with that. That can become then a filter, which then proposes for them different hubs that they could reach out to. You know, it's like, yeah, you got to find hubs of people who they're helping their clients figure that stuff out, do the market research, get their niche so they can benefit from your program. And then everybody's going to win. Let's talk about the fundamentals from the standpoint of ease and simplicity and how it relates, right? So there's 7 fundamentals. I'll go from the bottom up. So the most foundational, the biggest block in the pyramid is ethics. And being ethical really simplifies your life, because if you're lying all the time, then you have to remember who you said what to. But if you're telling the truth, you don't have to have such a good memory. Yeah, all the tricks are very complicated. There's so much finagling on the how do you push people's buttons. There's something that's dramatically simplified when you sit down with a human being from the intention of, let's just get to the truth of if this is a fit. Let's find that out. Yeah. Let's see if it's a fit or not. That's a simple conversation. If I'm trying to get you to say yes, if I'm motivated by this hidden agenda to get you to buy, that's complicated now. Now I'm measuring your every facial expression. I'm matching and mirroring your body language. I'm noticing your predicates. Are you not? Are you visual, auditory, kinesthetic? I'm mapping out your meta programs. I'm starting to, figure out how to anchor certain feelings to certain, like, I could go on and on about all the tactics, and I'm trying to figure out the timing of when I'm going to induce reciprocity. Am I using that person's first name enough? It gets really tricky.
On this point, though, because I have been there myself, and I work with clients where they're like, I can't necessarily do that fit check because I want everybody, because I need everybody right now. Like, what's sort of like the calming, like, you're actually going to attract more people. You're going to have a better experience. You're going to get better word of mouth. Like, how do you, if you have people like that, how do you alleviate there?
Oh, all the time. We'll come to that. So hold that thought. So just basically, as we proceed ethically and honestly, that streamlines so much. Things get much simpler, clearer. You get less, because you're not trying to do everything for everybody. You're not trying to trick everybody into working with you. You get less refunds. You get requests. You get less hassle. The clients you're going to get are better, which is less drama for you, less disappointment in the marketplace that you then have to deal. Like, there's all this collateral damage of behaving unethically that you have to clean up. At some point, you're going to have to deal with that, or move, or start a new business, which is then more complicated. So the next thing is creating space. That's the next block above it. And this is where we shift into effectiveness. And boy, most of us are already doing a lot. And then our idea of how to grow our business is do more, basically. Do more, do it harder, do it faster. And that's how people break and burn out. And so my huge admonition to businesses is just create space first. Before you charge ahead, create some breathing room so you can actually do the strategy work. Because doing strategy work, which is how we actually simplify our businesses, this is how we bring ease, is the question of strategy, is impossible without space. You don't have space. You don't even have the room to think these thoughts because you're caught in reaction. And, reactivity is the end of simplicity in business. Reactivity breeds complication, like rabbits, Then there's niche, which gets to this question, right? And the opposite of niche is trying to be everything to everybody. At one level, that seems simpler, right? Because I don't have to do all this thinking about niche, and I can just work with anybody. So that's simpler. And it's just whoever comes in, it's a yes. That seems to be simple. The challenge is the spell that we're under is that if we just tried hard enough, we could get everybody. But you can't. There's always reasons people don't want to work with you, including the fact that you're such a generalist will turn people off. So checkmate. There's no getting everybody. So if we can just go with that premise, there's no getting everybody. You're always going to lose some people. And you're always going to attract some other people. Then the only question is, are you attracting the people you want? And are you repelling the people you don't want? And if that's working, then great. It's just fine. If every single client you have, you're lit up by it, and you really know you can help them make progress, and they are making progress, then you're winning on the niching front. And if not, that's something to look at. Because then again, if you're getting people outside your niche, outside your scope, this is where you get the refund requests. This is where you get complaints. This is where people bitch about you. These are the very difficult to deal with clients. But how does that joke go? One day you're going to meet somebody who's going to be just obsessed with you and who's going to want all your time. And that person will be your lowest paying client. Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, every client I've ever modified like a package for extensively. Like I'm like, okay, like this is what you say you need. It doesn't exactly fit, but I'm going to modify all of this. We're going to work together. They've always been the worst.
Yeah. And so this is the niching thing. This is who are my people? Who am I best at helping? Who am I not best at helping? So the lack of it makes it complicated. But the when we nail the niche, everything that follows it gets way easier, way simpler. Because then we move to the next block, which is point of view. If you don't have a niche, a point of view about what? What are we even talking about? Is it just your cosmology on the universe? That's what we're talking about? Because point of view means for a service provider, it's my take on why are you stuck on island A and you can't get to island B. That's point of view. For a business provider, for a service product provider rather, it's like, how do you build that boat? The boat that gets people from one island to another. How do you build the boat? What's your take on how to build the boat? It's your point of view about that. So if we don't have a niche at all, if we don't know what this is, who it's for, all that, we don't have a point of view. There's no opportunity for a point of view, which then means you have no credibility, which means you have to work a lot harder in your marketing. And you got to start using all these synthetic steroidal forms of urgency in your marketing and credibility building techniques because your core point of view isn't actually trustworthy or clear. And then we go to business model, which includes the offers. And if you have your niche dialed, this gets real easy because now you're coming up with an offer for a specific person or you're honing the offer around a specific type of something. And it gets real simple. And if you don't have a clear niche and I say, great, come up with an offer, people get so lost. They're drowning. It's the blank page. They don't know where to start. Then take it further. We go to then hubs. Well, hubs for whom? If you don't have a niche, this is mission impossible. You're trying to figure out hubs, but we don't even know what you're aiming at. But if you have a very clear niche, oh my God, here's all the hubs. This is exactly where you need to go, what you need to do. So that streamlines your marketing too. And then there's the sharing, which is, figuring out a tactic. We get lost in a million tactics. And it's much better to just pick one or two that you can get really good at and do those tactics over and over again. So when you have these 7 fundamentals in place, like if your ethics are good, you've got enough space, breathing room in your life, you have a really clear niche, a very compelling point of view that's laid out well, you've got offers that are really well designed, the kind of offer that people look at, it's like, just shut up, stop talking, take my money, this is amazing, this is what I want. Because you've crafted it, not because you're using hype or tools, just because you made an offer that's that good for your people. And then if you have the relationships with the hubs who are already in touch with your people and mechanisms to stay in touch with them and get them to spread the word and all that, and you've picked a couple of tactics for sharing that you're naturally good at and you probably do sustainably over time and you're willing to learn about. You see what I'm saying? Like everything is so simple now in your business. Everything just moves with ease. Yeah, it really lubricates the whole business.
Way to bring everything full circle. That was beautiful.
I know. Yeah.
Okay. Final question. And it's what have you done recently in your business that just took some pressure off?
The trail talks is one of them. It does get me outside, which takes pressure off. And I do enjoy the calls. Something I've been getting better at is when at the end of every day, I kind of plan out my next day. What am I going to do? And I'm getting a lot better at not overloading tomorrow. Looking at the things and just, can I actually do those things? Are those achievable? Because I think something psychically happens to us when we have a list that's too big that we don't complete. There's a kind of low-level anxiety, like we're failing. It does something on our self-esteem. And if you can tick off every box, we feel like we're winning. There's something about visual overwhelm on your to-do list. So I'm getting better at that of like, is this realistic to do tomorrow? Because it's such a great feeling to finish everything on my list and say, oh, well, maybe I can look at something else to do, but I have to go look for it rather than like, oh my God, every day there's so much more to do than I can do. That's another thing.
That's a good reminder because I'm very, very bad at making extremely long lists of all the things that must be done. And you're right. If you do that, you can maybe hit a third of them and then you feel like a failure.
I'll say another thing, and I got this from Nat on our team, is we've sort of shifted our perspective in business. Instead of looking at timelines, which create a lot of stress, is an order of operations. Whenever possible, we say, okay, what do we want to achieve? Great. What is it going to take to make that happen? Let's make the plan. Okay, let's do the plan, and whenever it happens, it happens. Like when we get there, we get there. Let's go step by step, but let's not create a timeline artificially that's going to pressure us where we then, because this happened with the membership. I just didn't realize how much time it was going to take to finish these courses. So February was insane. February, I just was on my laptop all day, every day. All self-care stopped. It was just, and I knew it was make hay while the sun shines, or we just have to do this now. I couldn't put it off. So, this also creates pressure for entrepreneurs as a whole, is this sense of unnatural urgency. And one of the exercises I'll do is I'll have entrepreneurs make a list of like, what are all your goals, all the things you want to achieve over the coming years. And they write down a list of all their goals for their business. And then I say, okay, now is that a 10-year goal, 5-year goal, 3-year goal, a 1-year goal? Where does it fit? And people are often amazed, like, oh, this is like 5 years from now. It's like, great, move it to that list. But what happens is, I think by default, we think I have to do it all this year. And some stuff is like, you don't even have to look at that for 3 years. Have a place you put your ideas for that little capture system and fucking forget about it. It's over there. And then when we look at the stuff, okay, this is all for this year for sure. Yeah, great. Okay, what stuff has to be done this quarter? Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And again, sometimes people look at it, it's like, oh, that doesn't have to be done till the end of the year. It's so important to be realistic about our timelines, to factor that in. Most of us don't factor in the maintenance time in our business, that most of business is actually boring maintenance. And we got to schedule that in and schedule some buffer space too. Most entrepreneurs, we dramatically overestimate what we can do in a week, but we underestimate what we can do in a year.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So what is the best way for somebody new to your work to find you and to get to know your point of view?
Probably just the website, marketingforhippies.com. I mean, you can find everything from there.
And I got to plug your newsletter. I have to. My inbox is just an avalanche of newsletters. And yours is the one I will read every single time.
Well, tell everyone you know. Thank you.
I will.
All right, well, thank you. This is really wonderful.
It was really good to meet you.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.